In this video, I'm going to talk about what I've done to overcome IT band syndrome. I injured my IT band over 10 years ago, and it's flared up from time to time, and I had another flare up a few months ago that took me off the bike for a few weeks. Now, this will help if you're a cyclist or if you're a runner. Now, let me say first off, I am not a doctor, I'm not a chiropractor, I'm not a physical therapist. I'm just an athlete who has dealt with this over the years, and I found things through research, through watching videos on the internet, of what I can do to help overcome this. I'm going to talk about the first thing that I think you should do if it flares up. Then we're going to talk about the stretches that I do and then get into the strength training. I'll go through these things fairly quickly because I need to pack a lot into this video, so let's get started. What I think you should do if it flares up, whether you're running or riding, is to stop immediately. If you keep running or riding, you're only going to make it worse and you're going to prolong the time it takes to get over it. So if you can, get someone to pick you up so that you don't keep running or riding. And then I recommend icing it. I take a styrofoam cup, fill it with water, put it in the freezer, and that way you can use an ice massage and you just kind of go over the IT band down by the knee. And by the way, if it flares up, you're going to feel it most likely on the side of your knee. Some people feel it in their hip. I have it start in my hip and then I feel it on the side of my knee. Sometimes I'll even feel it below the knee on the outside of my leg. But take that ice cup and do a massage for about 2 to 3 minutes, and I would recommend doing that probably 3 or 4 times a day after it flares up. And then I would recommend taking time off of running or riding for at least 2 days. Let it reset, let it recover. Again, if you try to run or ride the next day, there's a chance it could flare up again and you're only going to prolong the time it takes to heal. Now I want to talk about the stretches that I do, and these are things that I've learned over the years, trial and error, things that I've learned off of the internet doing research, but I'm going to talk about what's worked for me. The first stretch that I do is one where I kind of stick my hip out, I lean up against the wall, and by the way, when you're stretching, you're not really stretching the IT band. The IT band is so thick, you're stretching the tendons and ligaments and muscles that connect to it. So what I do is I go up against the wall, and then I kind of bring my arms over my head, and I stick my hip out, and you'll feel it pull across your hip, and you want to hold that for about 30 seconds. Now when you do this, you want to make sure that you don't lean forward because you're minimizing the stretch. You want to stay kind of perpendicular to the wall, and then again hold that for 30 seconds. Another stretch that I found helpful is a common calf stretch because of all the muscles that connect kind of where the IT band connects, because the IT band extends past the lower part of your knee. I'm not going to really get into the physiology of it, but again, a lot of times I'll feel the IT band pain start below that knee, kind of where that bump is. So do just that standard calf stretch where you push up against the wall. You'll see a lot of runners do this before they run. And also I recommend doing both sides. So when you do the hip stretch, do both sides because you want to maintain balance and equal flexibility on both sides. The next stretch that I'll show you may or may not work for you. It's going to kind of depend on the way your legs are shaped, but this one really helps because again of where I often feel the IT band pain start. So what I do is I'm going to stretch the left leg. So I put the left leg kind of on the other side of my right leg, or maybe just in front, and then I kind of go on the outside of my foot. So I've got my foot leaning over, and then I just lean over to the right side. Might put my right elbow on my right knee. I hold on to something because it's hard to balance doing this. You want to make sure you focus on the stretch. But I feel that stretch on the outside of my leg. If you don't feel the stretch on the outside of your leg, that may not be a stretch that would work for you, but for me it does work. I get really tight kind of on the outside of my leg there. The next stretch that I'll show you looks very odd, but it's actually one of the most effective IT band stretches that I've found. I learned it on the internet years ago. It's more of a dynamic stretch versus a static stretch. Dynamic means you're moving as you stretch. So this one's a little complicated, but it does really work. So again, I'm going to focus on the left side. So I'm going to take my right foot, step it in front of the left one. And then if you want to make it more effective, you put your arms above your head, which you'll see on the video when I go down. But I'm going to bend down, and as I bend down, I'm pushing my left knee inward. Again, I've got my right foot forward, focusing on the left IT band. And I'm leaning over to the side, kind of the same way that you leaned over against the wall. You want to make sure you don't lean forward. You want to stay sideways. Again, I'm putting my arm up to maximize the stretch. And as I go down, I'm pushing that left knee inward. And I would recommend doing anywhere between 10 and 20 reps of this. The next stretch is more of a TFL hip flexor kind of stretch, but it's, again, very effective because of all the muscles and tendons and ligaments that connect to the IT band. So I'm focusing on the left side again. I'm going to take my right foot, put it in front, maybe even cross the left foot, and then you just stretch forward. So you push your hips forward. If you want to make this stretch more effective, you can kind of lean to the opposite side. So again, I'm focusing on the left side stretch, and I'm leaning over to the right. I'm going to push my hips forward, and you'll really feel this in your hip flexor. And then I hold that for about 30 seconds and repeat on the other side. One thing that I want to mention too about that stretch is make sure you put your knee on a pillow, because of the way your knee bends, it'll really push into the floor. The last stretches that I'll show you are ones that you'll do on the ground. The first one is a figure 4. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your left ankle, lay it on your right leg above the knee, and then you're just going to reach through. Sometimes I actually pull the foot up with my hand, but you can reach through, grab your right shin, and then you're going to feel it in your glute, and hold that for at least 30 seconds, maybe even a minute. Repeat on the other side. Another stretch that I found to be effective for IT band is just a classic hamstring stretch by laying on your back and using a belt. I'm using a band, an exercise band. So again, just lay on your back, keep your legs straight. You'll feel it in the back on your hamstring, and so hold that for at least 30 seconds. All these stretches you need to hold for at least 30 seconds. If you got the time, hold them for a minute. The next one is a trigger point that is extremely effective for me. So something like a lacrosse ball. This one's made specifically for doing these type of trigger point stretches. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay on your side, and you're going to put the ball just above the hip bone. And then you're going to find a spot, and then when you hit it, you're actually going to feel the stretch down below your knee, especially if your IT band is really tight. You're going to hold that for at least 30 seconds. It takes a little bit of time to find that spot, but again, just kind of move around. Once you feel it, you're going to feel it down next to your knee. I feel it even below the knee. So that's trigger point using something like a lacrosse ball. I have saved the foam roller for last because there's some controversy about foam rolling. Some people say it's extremely effective. Everybody should do it if you've had IT band issues. Some people say it's not effective. Personally, I've found that it's effective, but you don't want to go too low because it's that fatty pad underneath the IT band just above your knee that gets inflamed, that you really need to give time to calm down. So you don't want to push on that fatty pad with the foam roller. So what you want to do is you probably want to stop the foam roll, I don't know, maybe about 4 inches, 6 inches above the knee. But what we're going to do is we're going to pause where we feel it. So let's do the right side because that's going to be easier on the camera here. And so what I'm going to do is just do the classic, back and forth. But to be more effective, you really need to pause where you feel it. And I feel it more up by the hip bone, a few inches below that. And this can be very, very painful. Now, I've done this so much that I can just put all my weight on it. But when you start off, you want to take your opposite foot, put it on the ground to alleviate a lot of the weight off of the IT band until you get used to this. So if I'm resting on, so again, I'm doing my right side, so on my right forearm, and go up and down, but then start to pause, and then maybe just kind of go back and forth. And again, this is going to be really painful if you have a flared up IT band or if you're not used to foam rolling. It takes some time to get used to. Like I said, don't go too far down, so keep it a few inches above the knee, and then go above that hip bone and roll past that. Now let's talk about strength training because this is something that you have to do. I'm not going to go into why. Just trust me, you need to strengthen your gluteus medius and your TFL. All you need is this. Get a TheraBand. Go on Amazon. I'll find a link and put it down below. But get a roll. I get a whole roll of TheraBand because these will break. I mean, I can get these to last for a few months, but they will eventually break. So I buy the whole roll. Again, I'll put a link below. All right, the first thing is a scissor kick. So let's do the right side. Now, you have to repeat these on both sides because you want to maintain balance. And so all you're going to do is put the TheraBand around your ankles, and then you're going to go up. And don't just throw it up like that. Just kind of go up a little bit slower, and you're really going to feel this. Start off with maybe 10 or so. I'm up to where I do 30. Try to keep that leg straight as you do this. So again, this is scissor kicks. Next is clamshells. So what you're going to do, instead of putting the TheraBand around your ankles, you're going to bring it up above your knees. Kind of bring your knees up like this. And then you're going to slowly open. Try to keep your knees, they don't have to be 90 degrees, but you do want to have them bent like this. So clamshells, again, start off with maybe 10 or 15, and then I recommend working up to about 30 of those. The last thing you want to do while you're on the ground here is hip raises. So I'm going to do the left side here. So I put my right foot out, and then I'm going to go up and then back down. And I do 20 of these. And you want it to go all the way up. Like, you don't want to stop low. You want to push all the way up until this is flat, and then lower back down. Don't do it too fast, okay? Do it about this pace. And again, I do 20 of these on both sides. The fourth strength training exercise is hip hikes. And by the way, I got this off of a website. I think it was strengthrunner.com, so I can't claim any of these as being my own. These are ones that I've learned. I've been doing these for years. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand, I'm over some stairs. If you can't find some stairs or where you can elevate and drop your other foot down, then just hold your leg up. You can just stand next to a wall and hold your leg up. My family laughs at me when I do these because they look ridiculous, but they are very effective. So again, I'm focusing on the right side, and I'm dropping my left foot down and then bringing it back up. Okay, so it looks like this. Again, it looks like you're doing some kind of salsa move, which I can't do salsa dancing, but those are hip hikes. So I'm dropping my left foot, and I'm keeping my right leg straight. Okay, keep that right leg straight. Drop the left foot down, and then bring it up as high as you can. Repeat that 30 times. I work up to 30. You may want to start with 10 or 15. The fifth strength training exercise that I do that I recommend is kind of like scissor kicks lying on the ground, except you do a side step. So I've got the TheraBand around my ankles, keeping my legs straight, and I'm going to step to the side. I do 10 this way if you have enough room, and then 10 back the other way. That gets both sides, obviously. And if you don't have enough room, you can maybe do 3 to 5 one way and 3 to 5 back that way. So I do 5 sets. So that way 10 times and back the other way, that's 1. Repeat that 5 times. And the last strength training exercise for your glutes, TFL, all that is called pistol squats. At least that's what he called it on strengthrunner.com. And so you're going to basically squat down, and you may need to hold on to something when you first do these. These take a lot of balance. So I'm going to put my right leg out in front. I'm going to squat down. I try to get parallel. It's hard to get so your thigh muscle is parallel to the ground, but I go down as low as I can and then come back up, keeping my right foot out in front as I go down on the left leg. Like I said, you may need to hold on to something, and you may want to work up to where you have some weights in your hand, maybe 10, 15, 20-pound weights. And I do 12 of those. So I don't do 30, I do 12 on both sides. The last thing that I'll show is a bit unorthodox, but the reason that I do it is because of what I've heard about how the IT band can adhere to other muscles, for example, the quad. And so what this does, in my opinion, again, I'm not a doctor or anything, but I think it kind of helps with that adhesion, and it's a massage gun. Now, there are some on Amazon that are really expensive, like $600, the Theragun brand. This is by a company called Uricar. This one, you can get Uricar massage guns for $100. This one's about 160, 170, but it comes with a lot of different massage heads for different parts of the body. If you want me to do a review on this, let me know, because it's not only good for IT band pain, but also for just getting lactic acid out of your muscles, self-massage, that kind of thing after a hard run or a ride. So again, it comes with different massage heads. This is the one that I use for my IT band a lot of times. But what I do is I'm going to put it on the highest speed. Once I turn it on, I just kind of go up and down the IT band. Then I also go below the knee, outside where the calf muscle is in there. So how effective this will be for you, I really can't tell you, but like I said, it helps with that adhesion that you can get with the IT band. And also, after you do a hard ride, you can work the muscles. I have found that this is effective. Like I said, I'll put a link in the description below for this particular brand, the exact one that I use. It's got a little digital screen on the back, so it's pretty decent, and it's rechargeable, so you don't have to deal with a cord while you're doing this. For those of you who are cyclists and watching this video, I want to talk about one change that I made to my bikes, and that is I lowered the saddles 1.5 centimeters. So whereas I was at about 25 to 30 degree knee bend, now I'm at about 40 degree knee bend. So that's one change you may want to make, and that is, again, lowering your saddle. So that is one thing that I would recommend you trying unless you're already 40 degree knee bend or higher. I'll drop a video in the description below that I made to show you how to check the knee bend using your phone. But I would recommend getting a professional bike fit if you can. That's something that I'm going to do pretty soon. And finally, I want to show a strap that I'm using, and this was recommended to me by an orthopedic doctor that I went to visit. And this is a strap that goes around your knee, above and below the knee. I've been using this ever since I got back on the bike, and I have not had an issue with my IT band. Now, I know all the things that I've done have helped with that, but I'm going to keep using this because I don't want to mess with a good thing. Now, I did forget the strap for a couple short rides, but I've used it on every long ride, and I've not had an issue with the IT band pain flaring up on a ride. So this is something that you may want to try if you're a runner or a cyclist, and I'll drop an Amazon link below. So that is my tutorial of sorts of things that I do to deal with IT band pain. Even if you've never had IT band pain flare up, I would highly recommend doing those strength training exercises that I show you. It's not only going to hopefully prevent you from having IT band pain, it's also going to make you a faster rider or runner because of the way that you're strengthening those hip muscles. And as you age, you need to make sure you do core workouts and things like that to keep those muscles strong for your activity. The last thing that I want to mention is if you've had IT band pain flare up, you've taken time off the bike, you've done your stretches and strength training, you're getting back to it or running, I would recommend not trying to get right back up to the mileage that you were doing before you had the IT band pain. Work up slowly. So for example, if you do 50 miles on the weekends, start off with a shorter ride. Start off with an hour ride, 18 miles, 20 miles. And then if you're okay, then add mileage, and then you can eventually work back up to your normal mileage. That will wrap it up. If you've tried these things, let me know if they work for you. If you've found other things that have been effective for dealing with IT band, drop those in the comments below. Thanks for watching.